Hello, I'm Irma Baker. Welcome to our show. We have a very special show today, a little different than what we've done before. In this one, you're going to be able to participate. Doesn't matter, I know you're in your living rooms or your bedroom or wherever, but whether you're on a couch, in a chair, even in a wheelchair, you can follow along with us today because our guest today is Linda Stevenson. And Linda is a yoga and meditation teacher. She is also an aromatherapist. She is a Reiki master, and I'm sure I've forgotten some of the other things you do, Linda. But it's so great to have you with us.
Thank you.
How in the world did you get involved in all this?
Oh gosh, 20 years ago I started yoga as an exercise. You know, everybody wants to keep fit when they're young, right? And so I've been doing yoga ever since, but as I've gotten older, I've noticed that yoga's become such a different focus now. It is really much more about kind of maintaining grace and vitality as I get older. So it's now much more of a full practice of spirituality, of meditation, of breath, and of movement too. So it continues to evolve as I get older, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yes, that's exactly what we're here to talk about today because we'd like to focus our show on older adults. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of us, you know, like you 20 years ago, yoga was something we thought about, oh yeah, that's young and trendy and all that. Yeah. But from what you're saying, yoga and meditation are just as important, maybe more so, for people as they get older.
Yes, I totally agree. Yoga, everybody thinks of yoga as a class where they're on the floor on a fancy mat and doing all kinds of crazy poses. But yoga is not only the movement of the body, but it's also breathing, and it's then a meditation. And the reason the yoga is created, the movement of yoga is created, so that we can prepare the body for meditation. And as we age, the physical movements help us with balance, they help us with strength, they help us with flexibility. They even improve our respiratory system and our circulation and our blood pressure. So we know those are all problems that we deal with as we age. Mm-hmm. So by moving through the yoga poses to the best of your ability, whatever you're at, whether you're in a chair or sitting on your floor, on your couch, you have the ability to move in some way and then prepare your body for sitting quietly with breath and meditation.
Well, I see that you're wearing normal clothes.
Yeah.
I'm wearing normal clothes.
Yep.
We're casual,
That's
but
right.
We're certainly not in the stereotypical picture
Correct.
of somebody who's going to do yoga.
Yes, yes.
So it's not necessary then to make a great investment?
No, it sure isn't. There is a lot of things you can buy if you wish to. They're not even that expensive, but I'm wearing some stretchy jeans and just a stretchy shirt, button-down shirt, and the equipment that I brought with me today is probably all under $10 if you wanted to buy it, but there's equivalents that we have at home that we'll show you today as well.
Yeah, we're going to do some demonstrations a little later in the show,
bet.
So that'll be a lot of fun and I think very interesting too.
Absolutely.
Well, you talked a little bit about physical benefits that you have from yoga and meditation and all. What about mental? You know, people are really afraid of Alzheimer's, of dementia, all those kinds of things that kind of loom above us in the, we hope, distant future.
Absolutely. I think that I know, and there's research being done to show that the movement of the body makes connections in the brain. So when you're using both sides of your body, you're actually creating new connections in the brain. So that's one reason that yoga is important, because let's say we're running, just a normal running. You move your body one way through that whole practice of running, right? But if you're moving in yoga movements, you're doing all kinds of different crossing over and turning and twisting. So your brain says, hey, well, that's new. That's something new to me, and I have to learn that. And so that's a really great thing for your brain.
I never thought about it that way because there's such an emphasis on running and that type of really rather strenuous physical activity. But what you're saying is that through yoga, we can exercise all parts of the body.
Yes, all parts of the body. There's not one muscle or body part that isn't exercised in yoga if you do a full yoga practice, a physical practice. Obviously, if you're in a chair and you're unable to get up, then you do use the parts you can, right? But it really does allow you to keep full range of motion in your joints too. So as maybe we're dealing with arthritis or some stiffness in the joints, movement in the joints keeps that lubrication. And then of course that decreases blood pressure and helps with your hormones, which then of course help with your brain. We all know that some of the problems we have with our brain can be triggered by hormone imbalances. You know, maybe too much serotonin or too much dopamine, and yoga helps to balance those hormones, which keep us calm, keep the stress away, and stress is another precursor to some mental issues we might have.
Well, and the activities that you do in yoga, those are gentle activities. They don't have the assault, can I say, on the joints or on the bones or the muscles.
I would say that's a great way to put it. Now there's all kinds of yoga, so you can't walk into just any yoga class because some of them are very strenuous, not from a joint perspective, but from muscle perspective or heat or things like that. But an average yoga class, a gentle yoga class, is very easy on the joints, very easy on the breath. It keeps everything calm and centered, and allows a good range of movement.
It sounds like it's ideal for everybody or anybody
Yes.
who wants to take this direction
Yes.
in improving their health, their physical health, their mental. And you know what? You mentioned a little while ago, and I didn't quite pick up on it, you also mentioned spiritual.
Yes.
There spiritual benefits?
Absolutely. Yoga is not a religion, but yoga is a way to connect to whatever it is that is your guide. And the reason that happens is when I'm meditating, for example, meditation is not the absence of thought. Meditation is the focus of thought. So I focus my thought on one thing, and we're going to talk about those types of things today. And by doing that, I allow all the other stresses to fall away. And then because I have less going on in my brain, I am then better able to connect with whatever my higher spirit is, whether you believe in God or you believe in Allah or any other type of religion, whatever, then you have space for quiet and space for connecting to the things that serve you. That's also community. You know, your community is a part of our spiritual lives. And so if you can quiet your mind and be with like-minded people through yoga, you can also connect your community.
So you're saying that in yoga and meditation, you're not emptying your mind? I thought you just had to have nothing going on in your mind.
Absolutely. That's what most people think. It's impossible. We have monkey minds, and we call it in yoga, we call it chitta vritti. The chittas are the little noisy things in our head, right? I can't make them go away. I don't know about you, but it's a struggle. So, but what we can do is get less things in there. So my favorite analogy is, let's say I have a cup of coffee and it's full. I can't put any more coffee in that cup, right? Because it's full. I can't put any thoughts in my head too, because my head is full of already so many thoughts. So by focusing on just one, the rest of them can go away and new ones can come in. New ideas, new creativity, new ways of dealing with stress.
Well, to carry your analogy a little further, it's kind of like maybe you're reading a book or you're watching TV or you're looking out the window and you're not even aware that you are sipping your coffee, but suddenly there's more room in the cup.
Sure.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
We do things very mindlessly, right? You just said how you drank that coffee, didn't really realize you drank it. So meditation is very mindful. So we are focusing on the here and the now in the present. Did you ever drive to work and then get there and realize, I don't even remember driving here?
Oh yeah.
Right? That's because we are not present. And the benefit of meditation is to help it to be present, to focus on the moment at hand. There's all kinds of meditation. You don't have to close your eyes and sit in a mountaintop in wherever to meditate. You can do it in your living room. You can do it out in your nature, in your yard. There's so many ways to quiet the mind by just focusing.
So focusing and quiet. Are there ways that we need to prepare for meditation?
Yes. As a matter of fact, yoga is built very specifically all about preparing for the meditation. So I always tell my students, if they come to my class, they might not be able to do anything physically that day. Maybe they're really not feeling well or they're stressed. If they sit on a mat the entire time and breathe, you're preparing for meditation. but the movement of the body through the physical poses actually works out the kinks. Did you ever wake up in the morning, you're feeling a little stiff or a little sore, and then you can't really sit comfortably in your chair? So the movement helps you to work out those little kinks in the body so that you can sit comfortably and then breathe and then take your meditation time.
You keep mentioning breathe. Talk a little bit about just how important that is.
Sure. I think it's probably the most important thing we do in our day. If you can't do any of those physical movements, you can still breathe, because if without that, we're kind of like, can't be here, right? In yoga, breath is has a word called prana. And prana means breath, and prana also means life. And I find it very interesting that that word means the same thing, both life and breath. So without one, you can't have the other. So by, by breathing deeply, we tend to use the top part of our lungs when we breathe. But the bottom part of our lungs, down by our ribs here, towards the belly button, is where the breath triggers a very calming response in the body. We call it fight and flight is when we breathe up here. So we get stressed, we get anxious, we move fast, and the calm, rest and digest is down at the bottom. So if we can take a deeper breath, we trigger that calming digestion, calming, resting phase of our body. And so the breath is very important to keep yourself stable. It also helps to balance out your mood, balance your hormones. And the first thing I tell my son when he's having a bad moment is take 10 deep breaths. It changes everything. That's all you have to do.
Can we maybe try some of these breath things?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Okay, you got it. So how about if we move a little bit first?
Okay.
Just a couple little movements. So
All right.
I have a couple of things that I brought to show you some things that you can do sitting right here in your chair.
Okay.
First thing is important to put your feet flat on the floor.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes can't get my feet on the floor depending on my chair, right? So one of the things you can do is you have blocks or books, and you can even put those under your feet to make yourself really comfortable. Oh, now my hips feel better already. How about you?
Yes.
Does that feel good? So first of all, we find a comfortable seat, and let's just make sure we wake up our arms and our spine a little bit. So we also have these straps. You don't need a strap, or you can use a belt at home, but by taking this in your hands and then taking your hands about shoulder width apart, you can take a big stretch up over your head. Big stretch. Maybe look up and stretch the neck, and then exhale, take it back down. Notice we're breathing at the same time when we do this. Inhale, breathe up. And exhale, breathe down. Beautiful. And then maybe we can come and bring the strap over our head, and then we can bend a little bit to the right. Now we're stretching through the left side. And then we can come back to center and stretch through the right side. Now we've just stretched our spine and our shoulders, and then we can take it back down on the exhale. How'd that feel?
Opening.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that our chest is a little more open, we can breathe deeper. So step one moves to step two. Let's do one more thing before we take some breathing.
Okay.
Just take your hand on your left hand on your right knee.
Okay.
See, we're already moving body parts around, and our brains are trying to figure out how to connect these things, right? I know.
Just like that.
Just like that. So I'm crossing my body over. Take your right hand or your right arm and put it on the back of your chair and just twist to the right. Keep your spine nice and tall. Just take a little twist to the right. Notice how your spine feels like it's stretching. Inhale, lengthen, find a taller spine. And exhale, we come back to the center. Now take your right hand on your left knee. Hand goes back behind you with the left arm. You inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale again. And exhale, twist. And then inhale, we come back to center.
I think I did that wrong. Let's do it again.
Sure, absolutely. So as you start in the center, and let's take your right hand on your left knee. Take your left arm behind you. Reach and lengthen. So get really tall.
And that's when you breathe in?
And you breathe in. And you exhale, twist. And then you inhale back to center. When you twist the body, you're kind of compressing, so the exhale naturally comes.
Okay.
And when you come back around, the body opens, and you naturally back to inhale.
Okay.
And then sometimes we have tight hips, so I'll show you one more thing just to make sure we all sit all day, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know I do. And the first thing I need to do at the end of the day before I meditate is to loosen up my hips. So with your feet on the block or on the floor, you can just cross your ankle over your opposite knee. And then lean forward just a little bit, and notice how in that right hip, in your bent knee hip, you're stretching a little bit in the back, right? Do you feel that?
Yes, I can feel it.
And then come back to center, and you can switch sides. And you can hold this here as long as you want.
Now, should we be breathing in and breathing out as we're doing that?
You absolutely do. So once you play, let's do the opposite side. Okay. So I'm just resting my hands wherever is comfortable. Inhale, let's lengthen our spine again, always lengthening. Exhale, just leaning forward. And as I hold here, I'm not just holding my breath, I'm breathing in again. And then breathing out again, leaning a little bit more forward if I can. And you'll notice your body start to soften and the joints begin to open a little bit. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. And then inhale back up. You might stay here for 5 breaths as you stay in that hip opener.
Oh.
How does that feel?
That feels good.
Good.
That does feel good.
Yeah, and that's what we do with yoga, is we try to make the body feel comfortable so that now we can feel comfortable breathing. So how about one of those breathing techniques?
All right, let's do it.
Does that sound good?
Okay.
All right, one of my favorites is very, very simple. It's just counting the breaths. So maybe when you're going throughout your day, if you were to sit here and time yourself, maybe your breath is, I can count to 4 when I breathe in, and I can count to 4 when I breathe out. But what you want to do is lengthen that a little bit. So what we do is we just do a counting breath, so it's 5 inhales and 5 count exhale and 5 count inhale. Or maybe for you it's 6 or 7, or maybe it's 4, depending on the person who's doing it. So we're just going to get our comfortable seat again. I like my feet on that block, so I'm going to put my feet back up there.
I've got mine on the book.
All right, good. And place your hands just somewhere in your lap, or if you like the arm of the chair, that's great too. You're going to close your eyes for a moment. And you're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice closed eyes. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to try 6 now, see how it goes. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How does that feel?
That feels good.
Is it calming? Yeah.
I didn't think I could do 6.
Yeah, it's surprising, right?
Yes.
And then maybe someday you'll be able to do 7. So you can already see that not only was that kind of calming because we're focusing on something, but you also expanded your lungs and you're benefiting your respiratory system and your blood pressure and the circulation and your pulse rate.
All of those things are affected just by breathing.
Yes. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, yes.
So there's a lot of different breathing techniques. That one's one of the simplest, where we just count in and out and see how maybe we can get to a higher, with time, we get to a higher and higher number with time. Then if you really wanted to emphasize the calming, so maybe you're having a very stressful day and you wanted to really de-stress with your breath, you could do that same technique but lengthen the exhales only. So you might breathe in for 5 and out for 6. Do you want to try that for 1?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to close our eyes again and we're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How's that?
You can almost fall asleep.
I know, right? The reason that happens is, do you ever notice when you're scared of something or something really shocks you, you might take a little an inhale? That's your fight and flight response. If you see a puppy or a kitten or a brand new baby, you say, oh, you're exhaling, right? So that same exhale is the calming part of you. So when we lengthen the exhales, you're really triggering more of that calming rest and digest mode for your body.
And this is all preparing us for meditation
And
as well. So it's
that's
giving us
correct.
the physical benefits right on the spot.
You bet.
And it's also preparing us to meditate.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you, the simplest meditation you can do is that counting of the breaths, because you were focusing on one thing, right? The breath. That's a meditation.
Just like that.
Just like that. It's that simple. Everybody thinks it's so complicated. Everybody thinks they have to have all these fancy things and they have to quiet their mind, and then they get frustrated and they say, I can't do it because I've been meditating for years and my mind's still not quiet. But it has less in it. It has less in it. So a couple other things we can do for meditation that are real simple that you can do at home. I know right now there's some really popular coloring books. Everybody does these fancy coloring books right now. So this is mine, and it's creative coloring from mandalas, and you could make your meditation out of coloring. So if I were to sit down and color this book very detailed with a pen or pencils or whatever, and I'm focusing only on this coloring, that in itself is a meditation, because I'm focusing on one thing.
And you're focusing on something that, excuse me, in a sense is neutral.
Yes.
You're not focusing on a tragedy. You're not focusing
Correct.
on a fear.
Right.
It's something that kind of neutralizes your thoughts as well.
It sure does. It sure does. And by allowing less thoughts to come in, and you're doing something beautifully creative here, maybe you're going to be inspired by something else during that time. This could apply to things like gardening or painting.
Gardening is a meditation?
Gardening can be very meditative. If I'm out in my garden and I'm digging and planting and doing seeds and clipping flowers or whatever it is at your garden, if that's all you're thinking about, it's kind of meditative.
Huh.
So these are some other examples of mandalas that I've brought with me, but they can be used in a different way. So I can actually take those pictures I've colored, and I can put them in front of me, so maybe about a foot in front of me, so it's at an eyesight level, and I can shut my mouth. That doesn't happen very often, but you know, and gaze down at the mandala and just stare at that beautiful picture. And you don't remove your eyes from it at all. So we'll sit here for just a moment and notice how the colors can begin to change as you focus on it. And it just draws your attention to the center. And as I focus on that center of the picture, all the other thoughts fall away. This is a really helpful meditation for people who don't like to close their eyes. Maybe they have some fear or don't like to be in the dark. So eye gazing meditations are very helpful for those. Or maybe stare at a flame-mounted candle. Similar idea. So mandalas can serve several purposes.
And why is it called a mandala?
It's actually, they are built for meditation, and that's the Sanskrit name for that.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's a million different styles and colors and varieties, but the mandala means a circle, and a circle, and a lot of our lives are represented by a circle. Everything comes full circle, right?
Oh, is that why so many of them are in circles?
They're all in circles. All mandalas are in circles.
So a true mandala is a circle.
It is, with a design in the center, and there's no right or wrong mandala. It's whatever you're attracted to. What colors you like, what design you like, it's all just personal preference.
Oh, and they're beautiful.
They are beautiful. I like them for artwork too. Yeah. I have one on my wall at home that is a circle. It was a doily that was created by my grandmother, and it's framed, and it's a mandala on the wall, because those grandmother hand crocheted things are mandalas.
Oh, so so many of them are beautiful.
I know.
And
all those intricate designs, they could be meditative mandalas.
So at the time that they were doing that crocheting or that, in a sense, they were meditating because they were focusing on that.
All the designs and details in that, of course, that was very meditative when they did that.
Well, it sounds like many cultures then, in just everyday activities, had meditation built in.
Absolutely. They didn't call it that, though. They called it something else, and I'll give you a good example. So one of my favorite ways to meditate is with what's called a mala bead. And this is a bead, a string of beads, just like a rosary that you would use in Catholic, which I think we have one here.
We have one here, right
so
here.
So the Catholic religion uses those. The yoga tradition uses these. They're all for the same thing, and you use the beads to say a little mantra. In Catholicism, they would say a prayer, and you would have this in your lap and hold a bead with your finger and say your mantra or say your prayer. And really, a mantra is anything, a word or 2 words or a couple words that you like to focus on. So maybe my word today is peace. And I could hold this and move my fingers around this mala bead. Every time I say the word peace, I go to the next bead. Every time I said a prayer on my rosary, I went to the next bead.
And if I don't have mala beads or a rosary, I could use a necklace.
Any beads at home would work.
Any beads at home.
You could take the one off your neck right now.
Oh, I could. I'm carrying my
you're carrying your own mala bead
beads
with you.
right with
That's
me.
right. That's right. These happen to have 108 on them, but I think that as long as it keeps you focused, and of course, the longer the string of beads, the longer your meditation will be. So you pick your favorite word that means meaningful to you for you today. Maybe someday it's joy, maybe it's peace, maybe it's love. You could even say your child's name if you really wanted to focus on something for them at the time.
Well, right now, what I want to do is let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, absolutely. So my website is www.lindastevensonyoga.com. I have a meditation section on there with different tips and tricks for meditation. I have information about my yoga classes. I have aromatherapy information on there too.
All of that, and I want to say it's been a pleasure having you with us. I'm just amazed at how simple yoga and meditation can be. I really thought you had to go to a class or study it for years, buy special clothes, buy special equipment. But what you're saying is that anybody can do yoga and meditate. Practice, I'll bet it takes practice.
It does take practice. Don't give up when you get frustrated. Give yourself time. Set a little pattern in your day. I'm going to meditate 5 minutes in the day. And eventually it becomes part of your lifestyle, just like brushing your teeth.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Well, just like that, we are running out of time.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Can you believe it? It's our time is up already.
Flew by.
It really has flown by.
Yeah.
Linda, it has been such a pleasure having you with us. I hope you'll come back sometime.
Absolutely. I would love
to know about aromatherapy and Reiki, and
beautiful.
Also something else we haven't touched on, exercise for cancer patients.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to share some information about that later.
Well, I hope to have you back soon. Thank you so much. Thank you all for viewing, and I hope that this has been both informative and enjoyable. Everyone, have a wonderful day. For RSVP, I'm Irma Baker.